Coming up on WFT's First at 5, robbers are still on the loose as the Gainesville Police Department investigates the armed robbery of a local convenience store.
A Florida man faces multiple felony charges for stealing gas across multiple counties in the area.
And Florida's early voting numbers are ramping up as we're approaching Election Day.
First at 5, from the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
This is the security footage from the armed robbery of the Extra Beverage convenience store on Monday. These two men are still unidentified at this time. Welcome to WFT's First at 5. I'm Nick Diaz.
And I'm Kristen Maselka. The Extra Beverage discount store is still recovering from that brutal robbery. WUFT reporter Madison Ginsber went to the scene of the crime to find out more of the owner's story and the state of the investigation.
GPD detectives are still searching for a trio of robbers who held up an Extra Beverage and stole a handful of cash from the register. Around 10 p.m. on Monday evening, 3 suspects entered the convenience store and held the clerk at gunpoint. Surveillance video shows one of the suspects stealing money out of the cash register. The amount has not yet been confirmed. Officers say they then took off in a gray Toyota pickup truck. I spoke with the store's owner earlier today, who is disappointed the robbery happened during a troubling time for his business.
And I hope they can do the best to catch them. And this is not right. You know, economy is down and wrong time, that happens.
Take a good look at your screen. These are the 3 suspects officers are looking for. If you recognize them or the pickup truck, you're urged to call Detective Prince with the Gainesville Police Department. You can also submit a tip anonymously through Crime Stoppers. Call 352-372-7867. If your tip leads to an arrest, then you can be awarded a cash prize. Live at GPD headquarters, Madison Ginsberg, WUFT News.
A High Springs man was killed after a fatal car crash with a deer. The driver was traveling south on State Road 45 when he hit the deer head on. He spun out onto the road and ran into a nearby utility pole. He was flung out of the car. State law enforcement pronounced him dead on the scene. A South Florida man is facing a number of charges in our area after deputies say he stole hundreds of gallons of gas. Deputies arrested Lavon Olano Darius after a chase from a Williston gas station. When investigators examined the van following the chase, they found this. The van was changed so that a large hole replaced the driver's console, where there was an area to keep up to 400 gallons of fuel. In addition to pumps to pull fuel from gas stations around ground tanks, multiple counties have started their own investigations after the arrest, with more than 14 cases of fuel thefts reported. Darius is out on bail, but law enforcement expects more warrants for his arrest will be issued as the investigations continue.
In the spirit of Halloween, I'm sure our trick-or-treaters want to know what the weather should be expecting tonight. Taking a look at our Prains Prairie, University of Florida Chief Meteorologist Tim Miller is here to tell us what we should expect.
Well, Nick, I'll tell you what, it's all treats and no tricks. How about that? Pretty nice, right? Temperatures are all treats. 82 our current temperature reading. Notice the wind, though. It's east at about 11 miles per hour. Had some gusts earlier up to about 15 or 20 miles per hour, but other than that, just those pretty little cumulus clouds outside make the sky look nice. 84 in Gainesville, 80 in Jacksonville, 81 in St. Augustine. They have a little bit of a sea breeze, and our storm tracker is giving us a little bit of showers thanks to the sea breeze. None of those showers are going to be sneaking in tonight, so don't worry about anything getting wet because it will remain dry. Here's our trick-or-treat forecast. By about 5 o'clock, where we are now, about 84 degrees. Notice as we go through the nighttime hours, we'll fall into the 60s with a little bit of a patchy fog. We'll have the rest of our forecast and look at the tropics, too, coming up in just a bit.
Presidential candidates Vice President Harris and former President Trump take to the Southwest to sway undecided voters. NBC's Bree Jackson is in Washington with the details.
The government shouldn't be.
Presidential candidates dodging distractions and getting back on message. Vice President Harris hammering home her closing argument.
I'm running like the underdog because we are. Donald Trump's been running for the last decade.
Harris looking to move past President Biden's comments where he appeared to refer to former President Trump's supporters as garbage and is instead using Mr. Trump's words to her advantage after he said this.
I want to protect the women of our country. They said, sir, I just think it's inappropriate for you to say. I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not.
Listen, it actually is, I think, very offensive to women in terms of not understanding their agency, their authority, their right, and their ability to make decisions about their own lives, including their own bodies.
Both candidates making their last-minute pitch to voters in Arizona and Nevada, the most diverse battleground state. Trump seeking to make inroads with Latino voters after a comedian at his rally made offensive remarks about Puerto Rico. The former president leaning in on the economy.
Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? With your vote in this election, I will end inflation.
Americans are paying close attention to campaign promises.
I think if Trump were to be in office, yeah, we're screwed.
She said that she's going to change it, but we don't know.
Both candidates are making their final push to convince voters. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
Being only 5 days left until Election Day, more than 6.2 million Americans have already cast their ballots through the mail or early voting. That's about 45% of all registered voters in the state. The State Division of Elections says that almost 3 million Republicans have already cast ballots at early voting sites or by mail compared to the 2 million Democrats. More Democrats have voted by mail. Another 1.38 million ballots have been cast by voters with either minor or no party affiliation. Leon County Supervisor of Elections Mark Early expects about 2/3 of voters will cast their ballots prior to Election Day.
If you're going to vote by mail and you're sending it through the mail, actually, we have to have it by November 5th, end of day November 5th. That's why I stress getting it sent to us by October.
Early voting will continue through November 2nd across the state, with some counties like Alachua County also open on November 3rd. Election Day is November 5th. More than 80,000 voters have cast their ballots in Alachua County, with almost 50% of these voters being Democratic and 30% Republican. And in Marion County, over 123,000 voters have cast their vote, with over 50% being Republican and almost 30% being Democratic votes.
WUFT and WRUF have you covered on election night. Tune in to Cox Channels 5 and 6 for live team coverage of local city and county races, state amendments, and the race for the White House. Our coverage begins when the polls close on November 5th at 7 p.m. And if you can't get to a TV, you can listen in at FM 89.1 and 90.1 in addition to WUFT.org. Residents in Dixie, Gilchrist, and Levy counties suffering from Hurricane Helene but who are ineligible for SNAP have the opportunity to receive food assistance. The Department of Children and Families is launching this on-site disaster SNAP program starting tomorrow and throughout the weekend at the Suwannee River Youth Fair Pavilion. They will be active from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. SNAP recipients are not eligible for the program. You can re-register online. Those who are unable to complete a phone interview for DSNAP eligibility can interview on site.
Though the roads are open tonight for trick-or-treaters, starting tomorrow, Southwest 6th Avenue in Lake Butler will be closed for lane widening construction. Here's a look at the project limits. It'll be closed from the 3rd Street intersection all the way down to the 9th Street intersection. The project will include resurfacing, highway signs, and curb and gutter improvements. No lanes will be closed during school zone hours and on weekdays between 9 and 6 a.m.
Marion County residents were just given a mosquito-borne illness alert after the Department of Health received another case of the West Nile virus, bringing the total number of cases to 4 since July. Officials are reminding locals to wear bug repellent, avoid still water, and keep mosquitoes outside with air conditioning and window screens. Affected areas are being sprayed with low-volume adulticides.
Coming up on WUFT's First at 5, we'll cover some fun Halloween events that you and your family can enjoy tonight.
And we'll talk about some pedestrian safety tips to keep in mind while you're out trick-or-treating.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
From trick-or-treating to creative costumes, Halloween brings excitement to children and adults alike.
WUFT's Jenna Rothberg joins us live in the studio to tell us what local officials and parents are doing to stay safe on this night that's sometimes known for mischief.
Halloween is more than just a night of fun and sweet treats. It can also be a night for pedestrians, like trick-or-treaters, to take extra caution. I found out about safety measures that officials and parents are implementing this Halloween.
Halloween is a welcomed holiday.
I like to paint pumpkins because it's really fun.
It's really fun for 9-year-old Olivia Navarez until it isn't. That's because she doesn't like certain costumes.
They're really scary. Sometimes they really freak me out.
Or the idea of strangers knocking at her door.
I feel like that's really dangerous. Your parents teach you not to do that, and it goes against it.
When it comes to Halloween, new mommy Micaela Quiroga's main priority, keeping her pumpkin, who will transform to Tinkerbell by night, safe.
I would never leave her alone.
According to the Florida Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles Department, the night has been one of the deadliest nights for pedestrians. In 2022, there were more than 2,000 crashes on Florida roadways Halloween night. That's why authorities want to send out a message of safety. You're advised to use reflective gear and carry flashlights. Be aware of traffic, choose well-lit areas, and safe costumes. As for Micaela, she has her plan.
Check also the candy. And before you go to a neighborhood, check if it's a safe neighborhood.
And as for Olivia, she knows what she's going to do tonight.
We stay in and we do activities, and then we have family time.
And this Halloween, that's how these sometimes trick-or-treaters will unwind.
Authorities want you to make sure to stay visible and aware this Halloween. To find out more about safety tips, you can visit our website, WFT.org. Live from the studio, Jenna Rothberg, WFT News.
As part of keeping the community safe for the celebration, Marion County and Ocala law enforcement are teaming up for Operation Candy Sweep. They'll be checking in on the homes of all sexual predators and offenders in the area. They can't give out candy, have decorations, or keep porch lights on. You can search for any sex offenders that might be in your neighborhood on the Marion County Sheriff's Office website.
If you're still looking for a way to celebrate this Halloween season, have no fear. There are plenty of local events for the whole family to enjoy. The Marion County Sheriff's Office is hosting their 2024 Safe and Spooktacular Halloween party at the Circle Square Commons now until 8 o'clock. The Santa Fe College Teaching Zoo is hosting their 28th annual Boo at the Zoo event for trick-or-treaters until 7 o'clock, and you can still catch the Grateful Gainesville Fall Boogie over at the Heartwood Soundstage going on until 11 p.m.
Well, not a bad forecast over the next couple of days. Sunshine, pleasant days, nice nights. A full look at what we can expect straight ahead.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Well, how about this forecast, right? It's continuing to look pretty nice. Really Friday all the way through Sunday, sunny days, pleasant nights, high temperatures in the middle 80s. The tropics, we are still watching the tropics. Possible some changes coming next week as the tropics are still active all the way till November 30th. Of course, that is what we're talking about when it comes to hurricane season. Trick-or-treating, once again, our forecast for tonight looks to be absolutely delightful, so no worries there for sure. Temperatures, 82 is our current temperature reading in Gainesville. Waldo, the same. Stark at about 81, so low 80s tonight. So it should be rather pleasant with low humidity. So I thought I'd give you some weather fears or weather phobias. Now, I have absolutely no idea how to pronounce any of those, but it correlates with the fears. So if you have fear of the wind, there's the word for it. Fear of heat, fear of fog. Actually, these are actual fears that people have when it comes to weather. So it's the real deal. So just in time for Halloween, things that you probably didn't know, but now that you do. The satellite and radar view shows really clear skies over there. I want to show you this pretty neat view here. Very seldom that we see this over our state. This orange or brown you see, this is dry air in our water vapor loop. Normally we have plenty of moisture to contend with. Not this time around. This dry air is great. Heats up, cools off quickly. That means the nights are fairly cool and comfy, and yet the days can be rather warm but less humid. This is the area we're watching. Two areas, a medium area of possible development here, tropical activity, and a lower chance over near the, I would say Bahamas and then towards Puerto Rico. This is the area we'll watch more in particular here for possible development. Again, possible development. We are certainly days away. Hurricane Center gives it at least 5-6 days before anything is possible. Overnight low temperatures tonight into the mid-60s, 64 Gainesville. Notice a little warmer along the east coast, that easterly wind keeping the coastal areas a little on the warmer side. Tomorrow is really a nice day. We'll start off about 64 degrees, top out about 85 coming up for tomorrow afternoon. Certainly a warm afternoon, but all in all should be relatively pleasant. 7-day forecast, notice temperatures pretty much hang here into the 80s. Overnight low temperatures into the mid-60s. 20% chance of showers Wednesday and Thursday. Wish it could be more, guys, but unfortunately we'll just keep it at a slight chance of showers right now. That's your forecast.
Coming up in sports, Gators football will miss some star players this weekend against Georgia. And we're live at Citizens Field ahead of a massive high school football game tonight. All that and more after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Happy Halloween and welcome to sports. I'm Daniel Haviv. Gators football released their availability report ahead of Florida, Georgia this weekend. Some key players are out against the Bulldogs. The team announced that veteran cornerback Jason Marshall is out for the rest of the season after suffering an upper body injury. Star receiver Eugene Wilson is also out this weekend due to a lower body injury. And starting running back Montrell Johnson is listed as questionable. The Gators face Georgia in Jacksonville on Saturday with a 3:30 kick. The high school football season is coming to an end with the playoffs right around the corner. Buchholz welcomes in undefeated Cardinal Newman in what will be a clash of powerhouses. WUFT's Ethan Eibe is live at Citizens Field. Ethan, what a massive game to end the Bobcats' regular season.
Yeah, Daniel, this is a huge one for the Bobcats as they look to end their regular season on a high note tonight against Cardinal Newman. This is a clash of two of the top 30 teams in the state of Florida. 6-3 Buchholz is gearing up for the 6A state playoffs and has one last chance to prove themselves before the postseason begins next week. It's going to be a tall order, though, as Cardinal Newman makes the drive from West Palm Beach to Gainesville with a perfect 7-0 record. The Crusaders have outscored opponents by a whopping 277-72 this season. Buchholz will rely on the arm of junior quarterback Trace Johnson, who has thrown for 19 touchdowns this year. The Bobcats do enter this game with some momentum, having won 3 in a row. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. Reporting live from Citizens Field, Ethan Eibe, WUFT Sports.
The 24th ranked Gators volleyball team went on the road last night and took care of business against Arkansas in 4 sets. Florida dropped the first set to the Razorbacks 25-11, but the Gators would go on to win the next 3 sets. Sophomore Kennedy Martin was a standout last night, earning her first double-double of the season with 31 kills and 10 digs. That was the Gators' 4th straight conference win, moving them to 6-3 in SEC play, while improving to 15-5 overall. Gators soccer's regular season came to an end last night after a loss to Tennessee. WUFT's Jesse Simmons captured those final emotional moments.
As day turns into night, the sun is set in the 2024 Gators soccer season. As Florida closed out its run in a home match against the Tennessee Volunteers, a club that manager Samantha Bohan is rather familiar with, serving as an assistant for 4 years in the early 2000s, the Gators were so close yet so far in a 1-0 loss, which seemed to be the theme this year. Florida closes out with 5 losses in the final 6 games. But after facing everything from injuries to hurricanes, Coach Bohan is choosing a different perspective into the offseason.
You know, God's plan's not always linear, and for me just to do everything I can prayerfully and then have peace with kind of how it unfolds. And I do actually stand here today having peace because I do feel like our staff kept at it, kept trying things, kept, evaluating ourselves. Could we do things differently? But at the end of the day, I really think we used our entire arsenal, and so I think we do have a little bit of peace that, we did everything that was in our control. Yeah.
In 3 years under Coach Bohan, Florida is yet to make the SEC tournament. In year 4, will certainly tilt the scale for better or worse. Jesse Simmons, WFT Sports.
Gators women's basketball had an exhibition game last night against Flagler. Florida won 85-46. Rashea Kyle led the team in scoring with 21 points and 10 rebounds. Former McDonald's All-American and daughter of NBA Hall of Famer Shaquille O'Neal, Miara O'Neal, debuted in the starting lineup with 5 points and 6 rebounds. The Gators' regular season opener is next Monday in the O-Dome against FAU. And one final note, the Los Angeles Dodgers won the World Series in 5 games last night against the New York Yankees. Freddie Freeman was awarded MVP after hitting a home run in all but one game in the series.
Well, Daniel, I'm sure it was a night full of celebration, and I'm pretty sure tonight will be as well, right, Kristen?
Absolutely. Trick-or-treaters are looking forward to it, I'm sure. But Tim, can you give us one last check on the weather?
I was going to say, if you're a Yankees fan, candy will overcome anything, right? That's for sure. 85 tomorrow. Notice we have a string of 84s, 85. Doesn't change much. This time of year, our forecast is pretty much the same day in and day out. It's our dry season. Do need some rain. We're going to throw in some rain chances by Wednesday and Thursday. Again, those temperatures into the mid-80s. Overnight low temperatures mid-60s. I will tell you, though, the Wednesday-Thursday time frame, those rain chances could go up. We're going to be watching something that possibly could be developing in the tropics. If that's the case, that could bring us a better chance of rain by the Wednesday-Thursday, even into the Friday time frame of the following week. So again, that's something we'll be watching. Until then, though, it's just great weather with temperatures in the 80s, overnight low temperatures in the 60s. Open up the windows, a little fresh air in, y'all. Pretty nice. Tonight, let's open up the doors and let the trick-or-treaters in. Great night for trick-or-treating again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tim, and thanks for joining us this evening. We're back here tomorrow for another edition of First at 5.
Well, your North Central Florida news is always on at WUFT.org and on all our social media platforms. Have a good night.